Hey, what's going on, guys? Um, it's just a video that I'm gonna make on how to fix failure to feeds. So I do have a Beretta Pico right now, right here in my hand. I had failure to feed with it. It does have ammunition in it because I've been testing how to feed and how it, not necessarily how to feed, but how it feeds. And there is three separate things that can cause a failure to feed, and I'll show you them right now. So on this Beretta, to be able to take this down, you got to twist this little thing right here and drop it to where it's lined up. But it doesn't like to go. Give me 1 second and I'll get it going. There it goes. Just like that. Alright. So, three things that can cause a failure to feed. First thing is your recoil spring in your guide rod. This is a 380 pocket pistol micro, and so a lot of pistols though, whenever you're doing them and you're messing with them and you're figuring out why they're failing to feed, first thing you want to look at is your guide rod and your recoil spring. If your guide rod is bent at all and it's not completely straight, or if your recoil spring is old and it's not bouncing back and it's not even stiff, you're going to want to replace that. This Beretta actually was passed down to me from my grandfather, and he had it before he got dementia and whatnot, and it didn't come with a recoil spring or guide rod. So my recoil spring and guide rod is brand new. I already bought that. Second thing is that can cause your failure to feed is your barrel that goes in to your slide. Now, I don't do much with fixed barrels. I do they call them floating barrels. I mess with floating barrels a lot. I don't mess with fixed barrels very much. But if you'll see, that's what I believe the issue was, for mine at least, was the feed ramp on the back end of the barrel. This is called the feed ramp. What happens there is you'll have a round that comes up and it noses its end right there and it tilts up at an angle and it slides up and it chambers inside your barrel. And so if your feed ramp is too steep, for example, if you have too steep of a feed ramp and you're running hollow points, if your gun isn't broken in yet, it can cause it to fail to feed. And that being said, is because this point right here is not rounded and it will catch right there on the feed ramp and not feed in. So, I mean, simple fix to that, if it is your feed ramp, I mean, pay very close attention to it. The only way to really figure out what it is just to unload your firearm, put one round inside the magazine, keep your finger off the trigger, and move it back and forth and see how every time that bullet goes to enter that chamber, see how it's going in there. And so I did that. And what I did was I took a Dremel, like one of these Ryobi Dremels. You don't have to have a Ryobi, just any Dremel with a good sanding bit on it will work. And just sand it down and make it more smooth on the end of that feed ramp right there. So I put everything back together, put my recoil spring back in place, and put this back down off in here, and I put this right back on. Well, I usually mess with what you call it. I usually mess with actual compact, not subcompact, or I'll mess with full size. I don't usually ever mess with subcompact very much. And so with that being said, it was very difficult to be able to figure out the failure to feed on it. I'm going to go ahead and get this back on the rails real quick. There it goes, right back on the rails, clicked into place, completely clear. As you can see, the main thing I don't like about subcompact is how tiny the slot is versus how much tension you have on your recoil spring. I got bigger hands, and so it's very hard for me to grip this thing and pull it back, and not for my fingers to slide and get caught up and get slide bit and all that kind of stuff. But my next issue that I had was that because of that right there, I wasn't pointing it back far enough. After I already fixed my failure to feed, I wasn't pointing it back far enough. So I thought that I was having another separate issue that was causing a failure to feed, when in fact I wasn't. And a good way to test that is to figure out how, if you're pulling it back far enough or you're racking it the wrong way or whatever. If you rack it the wrong way, it's not going to feed properly, because you have to have that slide pulled all the way back, magazine already loaded, and just drop it to where all that force goes downwards and loads that round into the chamber. Well, what I'll do on these subcompacts is I'll use this, which is the slide lock mechanism, and I'll use an empty magazine, and I'll go ahead and just cock it back to where it locks the slide in place. And then from there, I'll go ahead and take my actual magazine with my live ammunition in it, and I'll place it down inside the firearm, and I'll go ahead and drop the slide. See that? It didn't catch up, nothing happened. It actually feeded. That's because it had enough force and enough pressure to actually feed that round. So it is clear now. But I did want to show y'all that, in fact, it can be 3 different things, which is mechanical. And the last one, technically is a 4th, but not really. The last one is a user error. So if you are having failure to feeds, it doesn't really matter what kind of pistol you're running. This is a Beretta Pico. And yeah, just take a look at it real close. Go through them 3 individual things, and it shouldn't be an issue. And then if you're having failure to eject where it's stovepiping, look at your ejector. Because usually if your extractor is good, like it would be with a stovepipe, it's already pulling the round or the casing after it's already fired off out of the chamber. That extractor grabs it, pulls it out. That extractor is good. Look at your ejector. And if you don't see anything wrong with your ejector, it might just be a small hair. Like, I know on the Glocks, if you run a Gen 3 ejector, it'll cause it to stovepipe a lot of the times. On the Glocks, run a Gen 4 ejector. Yeah, most time failure to eject your stovepipes. It's an ejector. Well, yeah, there you go, guys. That's it. That's on how to fix a failure to feed any kind of a pistol. This one for me again was a Beretta Pico subcompact 380 ACP pistol. But this works on 9s, 40s, 45s, just about anything. It's just the general mechanics of a pistol. Thank you, guys.